Three decades, 2,000 multinational clients across 51 countries, 3 million professionals trained, 17 inspirational books. I'm here today with Priya Kumar. Thank you, Priya, for spending time with us today and for this conversation.
My pleasure.
So, Priya, you've worked with leaders, entrepreneurs, coaches at the highest levels, and you've seen what separates the exceptional from the average. But every time you go on stage as a motivational speaker and face an audience that you've never interacted with before, what are the first outside signals that you read which makes you decide what they really need from you?
Well, interesting. So thank you very much for having me here. And I think this is my first ever corporate podcast. So it's a privilege. So it's interesting on how, when I'm called upon for a workshop, I'm already given the need of the participants. But, the outside view is, are they going to accept it? So I have to know where they're at. So if you see when I go for my workshop, I'm always I'm at the last bench, seeing what's going on, how are they treating the speaker before me? Are they even ready? And how many doodles are there? How many sketches have come up of the speaker with the missing tooth and black eye? So that gives me a flavor of the mood of the participants. From the back, I see how many heads are up, how many heads are down, which means how many are on their phone. So I know how I will be treated. It's literally like, the surgeon who, before surgery, has to make sure the basics are in place. The BP is fine, the blood sugar is fine, there's no infection, no temperature. Then comes the main talk. So for me, while I do have the deliverables and, my session flow, but are they ready for it? And to gauge that, I am with the audience for an hour, seeing what's going on. And then I decide how much time do I need to bring them on the same page to be able to deliver the message.
So there is a science and an art to this whole process before you really come to the stage.
Yeah, I think it's more of, having seen too many people walk out, then you learn that what went wrong. Okay. I remember the first ever corporate workshop I did when I was 22. People left the hall and never came back, so I still have that fright. I mean, it's been 30 years later, but I've still not taken the audience's attention or interest for granted. So gauging where they are at is still a part of my SOP, unviolated.
Wow. Now, I can vouch for that because we did a workshop with you 3 months back where we had 250 plus colleagues and none of them left the room.
Yeah.
So that's tribute to you.
So is for life. If you could just gauge where people are at when you come home, to see what the conversation should be or in a meeting, I think it makes for impact, so handling that first makes for impact.
Okay, that's interesting. So you've been a best-selling author, you've been a motivational speaker for 30 years.
Yeah, it's a long time.
I mean, at that time, I'm thinking 30 years back when I probably started my career, I mean, this practice probably didn't really exist as a motivational speaker. And from then you built multiple businesses. So if I were to take you back and if you can walk us through your starting phase, what did those first initial years look like? And how did you get your first clients when there was no template in this business?
Oh, that's interesting. My God, you've taken me back 30 years and I'm still talking and people are still listening. So I'm doing something right. When I started out, when I was 22-ish, at that time there was Shiv Khera. There was nobody else,
Right.
and the whole industry was Mr. Shiv Khera. And I think I just came on board, and there's one thing that I learned, that see, at that age, I wanted to be like Oprah Winfrey. I wanted to do this, have my own talk show. So I was learning communication, the art of communication. I was decoding Oprah Winfrey. And through that, I learned so much about communication that I started to tell my friends. I started to do workshops just to become good at talking so I could do my talk show, which hasn't happened in 30 years.
Okay.
And they said, oh, wow, can you do this for my people? Can you do this for my people? Okay. And it's how the CBI uses communication to negotiate with terrorists, to crack a case, to talk, and to distinguish whether what he's saying is true or false. Okay. It's an art. So then they said, oh, can you do this in another corporate? And I found if you have something that people don't know, if you have something that people feel, I am the CEO, but hey, I don't know that. So imagine I start my workshop saying, would you like to know how the CBI does communication? Everyone raises their hand. I didn't have to say I'm a motivational speaker. I just built curiosity, and that worked for me. And then I brought in activities like the fire walk. And when I did the fire walk myself as a participant, I said, I like this. And I got burnt actually on the first walk. And so I did so many more because my friends didn't get burnt. So I said, what did I do? And that curiosity led me to actually master it. And then I said, hey, I'll do a fire walk for my clients. And they said, oh, nobody will walk on fire, and it's a very spiritual thing. So corporates will not allow it. And I said, okay, let's see. So what I did was I invited some of my corporate clients, and I thought I'll call the media and, just do it for fun, that, impossible is nothing. So I told the media, my corporate clients are coming. I told my corporate clients, the media is coming. They both came for each other, and I did the fire walk. And it was so phenomenal that it just set me up, So I did something for myself. It worked for me. It solved my purpose. It took me higher. And I just shared it with others. And that was the foundation. I did not think this is what I would do for the rest of my life, because it was not an industry. I was not aspiring for it, but it turned out to be so.
Okay. Wow. That's curiosity. There's so many takeaways from there. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I think it's, for us also in the corporate world, it's good to reflect back on on curiosity driving progress.
Yes.
So I'm going to shift to another dimension. You've had a front row seat to how companies really function, not through annual reports or through presentations, but through the people who operate and live that culture every day. So I want to deep dive into what you observed and learned from these organizations and their leadership. You walked into boardrooms where organizations throw serious budgets at training. So Priya, what separates a workshop which looks impressive on paper from the one that truly shifts behavior 3 months later?
Interesting. So it's very interesting that you say that, because there's a whole workshop on paper and there's a whole different story that happens with the audience. And I have felt that words don't impact unless they land on an open wound, which means that people needed it. For instance, you take salt and you put it on the hand, nothing happens, so you hear so much of talk, it doesn't land, but what if there was an open wound and you put salt, and that's when it burns, so, and the fastest way to do that is humor or poetry. Because imagine people have come, it's a nice setup, it's a 5-star place, they've got good food. What are we talking about? It's all covered. There are issues. That's why I've been called. But the participants are guarded. And generally the cover is with compromise, with sacrifice, with denial, and so on. I have to first open that. Only then will I even take a step closer to making a point and an impact where the person remembers. And that happens with poetry and humor. Like you have Ghulam Ali and Jagjit Singh. You could have won, the gold, and you come home and listen to the guy and you're like, no, my life is, everything's all devastated, and there comes a glass of wine or whiskey and so on. So that is one tool that I use to reach the audience. And second is surprise and shock. And I have just 1 hour or 2 hours to do that, to deliver a message which will stick, which will translate into transformation. And therein come my personal breakthrough activities, where they're like, oh my God, I can't do that. Or can I do that? Or he did it, and it's experiences which have that element of shocking you or surprising you. They stay. Those are the memory recalls you have. And if you can recall something, then you also associate what was with that memory. So that works brilliantly well for me. Like I have this workshop called the Corporate Backpack Club, where the participants don't know where they are going. They have to submit their passport, write a questionnaire, which has nothing to do with what's in store. So you can't imagine the element of what, and the minute you go to what, that's it. It's going to stay for life. Because you can't prepare for the unknown. It's an unknown for a reason. If you were prepared, then why is the fear? So how do you chop that out is by taking them there. So that is what I use as a methodology to seal the deal. And I think that's why I'm around for the past 30 years.
30 years.
I've been delivering.
Wow. Humor and poetry.
And surprise and shock.
And surprise and shock. Cool.
And it works in life,
Okay.
everywhere.
Okay.